The desert stretched endlessly, a sea of gold and silence. Then came the distant thump of helicopter blades, faint at first, then thunderous. A black hawk ripped through the Afghan dawn, slicing the air with the weight of a new war. Inside, 6 soldiers sat shoulder to shoulder, their eyes hidden behind dusty goggles, their faces lit by the dim red of the cabin lights. No one spoke. The noise of the rotors drowned everything except the rhythm of their hearts. Staff Sergeant Michael Hawk Daniels sat by the window, staring out at the mountains. He'd been briefed for weeks, trained for years, but this was different. This wasn't another training op or jungle deployment. This was Afghanistan, a graveyard of empires. Below them, the terrain shifted between dust and stone. Small villages lay scattered like forgotten relics, mud walls blending into the earth itself. Hawk's mind drifted. How many soldiers had crossed these sands before? The Mongols, the British, the Soviets, now them. The pilot's voice crackled in their headsets. Touchdown in 60 seconds. Welcome to Kandahar, gentlemen. The men exchanged quick glances. Corporal Ramirez smirked, chewing gum. Hell of a vacation spot, huh? Hawk didn't answer. He just tightened his gloves. The dust road below was waiting, and so was their first mission. Camp Dagger was a skeleton of tents and sandbags, hastily built, buzzing with tension. The air stank of diesel, sweat, and nervous anticipation. Major Hollis, their commanding officer, stood over a map pinned to a folding table. Listen up, you're Task Force Scorpion now. You move tonight. He traced his finger along a narrow road winding through the mountains north of Kandahar. Intel says a Taliban courier is moving weapons and comms gear to an outpost near Spin Boldak. You intercept that convoy. No one leaves that road alive. The men leaned in. A simple mission, on paper, but Hawk had seen enough wars to know, simple was usually a lie. Lieutenant Sarah Raven Cole, their sniper and intel officer, asked, "We expecting armor?" Negative, mostly light trucks. But, these bastards know the land better than we do. Keep your eyes open. Hawk's eyes flicked to the edges of the map. The terrain was narrow, perfect for an ambush. He felt it in his gut. They're walking into a trap. Still, orders were orders. Scene 3. The dust road by dusk, the Humvees were rolling. The desert wind kicked up plumes of dust that painted the sky in rust and fire. Raven's voice came over the comms. Thermals clean so far. No movement for 2 clicks. Ramirez tapped the dashboard. Feels too damn quiet. Hawk scanned the horizon through his NVGs. Nothing but dunes and shadows. Still, something felt off. The kind of silence that pressed against your eardrums. They reached a narrow pass, mountains closing in tight, forcing the convoy to slow. The lead truck hit a dip, suspension groaning. Then, crack, a single shot echoed through the canyon. The driver slumped forward. Blood splattered the windshield. Contact front. Hawk yelled. Chaos exploded. Gunfire rained from both ridges. Tracers lit up the night. The Humvees fishtail ed as rounds slammed into their armor. Ramirez ducked behind the M240, returning fire in short, controlled bursts. We're pinned. RPGs on the right ridge. An explosion ripped through the air. The rear truck erupted in flames, scattering debris across the road. Hawk crawled behind a rock outcrop, heart hammering. The air was thick with dust, smoke, and screams. He could barely hear his own voice. Raven, get eyes on that ridge. Got it, she said, steady and cold. 1 shot, then another. 2 targets dropped. Still, the enemy kept coming. Ghosts in the dust, shouting in Pashto, firing wildly. Hawk switched to his M4, peering through the haze. He spotted movement. A shadow darting between rocks, carrying something long. RPG. Ram. 10 o'clock. Ramirez turned the M240 and unleashed a stream of fire. The gunner toppled backward, his launcher spinning into the dirt. That's 1 less boomstick, Sarge. The firefight dragged on for 15 minutes, but it felt like an hour. When the last echo faded, all that remained was silence. The convoy was wrecked. 2 men were down. Their radios were fried. And the courier? Gone. Scene 4. Aftermath. The surviving soldiers gathered around the burning Humvee. Flames flickered across their faces, reflecting in exhausted eyes. Doc Wells worked quietly, his hands stained with blood. Evans didn't make it, he muttered. And we've lost comms. We're blind. Raven looked toward the dark horizon. That wasn't random. They knew we were coming. Hawk nodded slowly. The thought had been gnawing at him. Someone leaked our route. Ramirez kicked at the dirt. So what now, Sarge? We walk home? Hawk studied the map. Their position was 30 miles from base, deep in hostile territory. The only way out was the same road that nearly killed them. He took a breath. No, we finished the mission. The team stared at him. The convoy's still out there, Hawk continued. If they were waiting for us, it means they haven't delivered the weapons yet. We find them, intercept, and complete the job. No loose ends. Raven smirked faintly. That's why they call you Hawk. They stripped what gear they could from the wrecks. Ammo, medkits, one working radio, and enough water to last a night. Then they moved. The road stretched out like a scar under the moonlight. Scene 5. The village. Hours later, they reached a small village, a cluster of mud huts and quiet alleys. Dogs barked somewhere in the dark. Raven knelt, scanning through her scope. Thermals picking up movement, about a dozen signatures near the main compound. Weapons? Hawk asked. Unclear, but one of them's taller, carrying a radio pack. Could be our courier. Hawk motioned silently. The team split. Ramirez and Wells flanking left, Raven covering from a roof, Hawk and the remaining soldier approaching from the rear. The door creaked open. Inside, candlelight flickered over crates, stacked and marked in Cyrillic. AKs, RPGs, ammo belts, jackpot. The courier was there too, mid-30s, beard streaked with gray, shouting orders. When he turned, Hawk recognized him instantly from the briefing photo. Target confirmed, Hawk whispered into the comm. On my mark. The mark came fast. Hawk burst in. Muzzle flash lit the room. Gunfire erupted, shouts, chaos. The courier dove for a weapon, but Raven's shot found him before he reached it. Silence again. The only sound was the crackling of the candle flame. Scene 6. The escape. Before they could exfiltrate, the night erupted with more gunfire. Reinforcements. A dozen insurgents pouring in from the hills. We're compromised, Ramirez yelled. Raven, suppressing fire. Everyone else, move to the trucks. Hawk ordered. They sprinted across the open field, bullets cutting through the dark. A round clipped Hawk's shoulder. Pain shot through his arm, but he didn't slow. The team reached an abandoned pickup, hot-wired it in seconds, and tore down the dirt road. Dust swallowed them whole as tracer rounds chased from behind. Raven fired from the backseat, precise and ruthless. That's 3 down. The engine roared, tires skidding on the loose sand. The horizon ahead glowed faintly, dawn creeping back into the war. By the time they reached the outskirts of friendly lines, their truck was riddled with holes and the fuel gauge nearly empty. But they were alive, and the courier's intel, along with his radio codes, were secured in Hawk's pack. Scene 7. Debrief. At sunrise, they limped back into Camp Dagger. Dust, blood, and exhaustion clung to them like shadows. Major Hollis met them at the gate, arms crossed. You were supposed to intercept, not start a damn war. Hawk handed him the blood-stained satchel. Mission accomplished, sir. Weapons cache destroyed. Courier neutralized. Hollis opened the bag, scanning the captured radio logs. His expression softened. You just gave us a lead on 3 more cells. Good work, Sergeant. Ramirez grinned weakly. So, same time tomorrow? The men chuckled. It was the kind of laugh that only came after surviving hell. Final scene. The dust road returns that night. Hawk sat outside his tent, staring at the horizon. The mountains glowed faintly under the moonlight, silent and ancient. He thought of Evans, of the men they lost. He thought of the road, the same one they'd taken that morning, now littered with smoke and ghosts. Doc Wells joined him quietly, offering a cigarette. Hell of a first day, huh? Hawk took it, staring into the dark. Yeah, and something tells me it's only the beginning. The wind howled across the camp, carrying dust, whispers, and the faint echo of rotor blades in the distance. The war wasn't ending, it was just beginning to remember their names.